Bad rules, bad hands, and bad fouls, not to mention bad personnel. It was bad. Really, really bad. You know it? Well, what will happen when the surging Bills face the Packers? It's all next, coming up on your Packers Fan Podcast.
Hey, Packers fans, this is your unofficial Packers Fan Podcast, and these are the podcasters you're looking for. One of these guys has been to the birthplace of Curly Lambeau, and the other guy, well, he has too. And now it's time to go, Pack, go, with your hosts, Wayne Henderson and Troy Heinritz.
Welcome back. I'm Wayne Henderson, and this is the 162nd edition of your Packers Fan Podcast, the show by and for fans of your 13-time NFL champion Green Bay Packers, recorded September 25th, 2018.
I'm at Troy Heinritz, and I can just say that I enjoyed the rains in Africa, but not in Washington.
Oh, my.
2 song jokes before we even get going this week.
I can't wait. This is going to be full of all the hits you've grown to love, I'm sure.
Or the hits that didn't happen. Anyways, it was not the road game we expected in Washington, so we'll talk about our highs and lows there. Some very concerning injury updates. And Coach McCarthy got fired up because of the officiating? Never. Plus, we'll also have the latest NFC North roundup.
And we're going to have our preview of the Bills at Packers game, details on the podcast awards ceremony coming up later this week, and the results from this week's Twitter and Facebook poll. And boy, did I open up a can of worms with this one. Stay tuned for that. And as always, your great feedback coming in at 920-3PACK-GO, email, and in the Facebook group.
Yes, and links or articles that we reference in this episode can be found on our website. That's PackersFanPodcast.com. Then add the / and 162 for the 162nd edition. PackersFanPodcast.com/162.
I love it.
The only guy that we could cheer about in this game, well, maybe there's 2 guys we could cheer about, but Geronimo Allison still having a really great season.
Yeah, when we think back to the game a couple of days ago, of course, we're all bitter and sour and frustrated, but there were some highlights. And yeah, Geronimo had some very sweet plays in that game.
And you can't, literally, with the wind and the rain and everything that was going on, I mean, the special teams crew did a fairly decent job, especially the punting. I mean, the punting for the longest time was the bane of our existence in Packer Nation. And this has been some really great stuff to be able to take a look at, especially pitting them back there inside the 5. When we really needed it to happen. Although that didn't matter so much because the defense still gave up a giant run afterwards.
That's true. Now, there were a couple of plays where the guy hiking the ball seemed to be a bit off, but perhaps that's just chalked up to the rain. I don't know.
I thought that was the beer that I was drinking. I guess you saw that too, hey?
I did. Even all the way here in California, it was like, wow, our punter had to really grab that ball and make some quick moves.
Well, he was compensating for Mason Crosby's left-pushing field goal. He kept hiking the ball to the right to equal it out.
Maybe that whole stadium was off balance this week.
That's one way to explain what we experienced on Sunday.
I'm looking at every angle. Trust me.
They're just off a bit. Well, you're looking at every angle through 14 guys. I mean, that's the problem.
I hate that excuse the ref gave that he didn't see that sack, that penalty that should have been on Aaron Rodgers. There were 14 guys. I couldn't see it.
They saw everything else pretty clearly. I wonder which team they live, which city they live in.
I mean, aren't they supposed to be able to see all the players on the field? That is the point of their job.
There's the head official. There's the back judge. There's the 2 line judges. I mean, there's plenty of officials out there that could have seen something.
I was so excited that Aaron Jones was back for this game, and he did do some great things, but then all of a sudden they stopped feeding him the ball. What's the deal?
The deal is we were down 21-24 to 3 or whatever it was because we can't convert in the red zone for the second straight game in a row. And this is just the problem that we're going to see again this season is that we're going to get into a hole and we're going to abandon the run when the run is working perfectly fine. And the run should be part of the game plan because, 42 yards on 6 carries, that's 7 yards a carry.
Nice.
7 yards. That's insane.
I'll take that all day.
Yeah. And when you average 7 yards a carry, you know what you do? You run the football.
Exactly.
You run the football. I mean, even Williams had one that he broke off, and Ty had a pretty decent one. I don't understand why we're not running two-back sets. Two-back sets, then you have a fullback who can block for Aaron Jones. Two-back sets, you got one that can block and one that comes out of the backfield for a dump-off pass. Two-back sets with a tight end is where we should be with this offense. I mean, Jimmy Graham still non-existent in this entire season so far.
I've heard rumors, Troy, that the North runs to championships. What happens?
Yeah, because defense might win championships, but in the NFC Norris division, as some people like to call it, running has always been the staple for our particular area. So the fact that we are not running just means that we're not going to get to the Super Bowl. Maybe we get to Duncan after the game, but not to the Super Bowl.
I don't know what they're doing at Duncan, but hey, good times.
They're having more fun than we were because, oh my gosh, these refs earn no coffee this week from me. No free cups, none at all, because 3 pass interference plays on the same drive. Like, what the hell's up with that?
And to think that for the second week in a row, and it's going to be a third week in a row coming up this weekend, the game is not airing in my area. I got to get up and get out to the sports bar at 10 in the morning, get there early to watch the game. I can't even see it in my home because I don't have DirecTV. I can't wait for the DirecTV exclusive deal on the NFL Sunday Ticket to be over so that all of us can buy Packers games when we want them.
So this was interesting this weekend. So I was not at home to see the game. I opened up the basicnfl.com app on my iPhone, right? Just NFL.com.
Okay.
Now, granted, the Washington Green Bay game was airing in the Chicago market. So this may have something to do with this. But I opened up the NFL app, and there were literally the Buffalo game against Minnesota and the Green Bay game against Washington. I watched the whole thing from the app. No sign-in needed, no Game Pass login needed. It was just there, clear stream in the open.
Interesting.
So I was like, this is different. So I have not had a chance to look into why that was a phenomenon. If anybody else was able to experience that, I'd love to hear from you, 920-3PACK-GO, or know what's up with the NFL streaming games live without any kind of blockage or blackout or any of that stuff. My guess is it's because the game was aired locally here, but then again, they were playing the Bills and Vikings, and I don't think that was aired locally here either, but I have to check.
Bonkers, Troy.
It was great. It was great, though, because I was able to watch the game, which is nice, because I wasn't home.
That is a big plus. Now, speaking of blockages, the refs, my gosh, the refs. What? I mean, it's been all over. We've all been talking about it for days now, but what's the deal?
Every time there's a big play, whether that's a third down conversion or a big strike or what have you, it's a holding call, or it's a pass interference call, or it's the call that we probably shouldn't spend any time talking about tonight, because I think everybody's tired of talking about it at this point.
Yeah.
You know, the call.
The call.
Yeah.
Not
you know which one I'm talking about.
I know what one you're talking about. Oh, I know what one you're talking about.
Just making sure.
What a mess. Just a PR nightmare and bad implementation. And we have lots of listener thoughts and theories that'll touch on this a little later in the show. So stay tuned.
And it's our fault. I understand it's our fault. We were the ones that were like, Barr putting all his weight on Rodgers. There should be a rule about this. And then they make a rule about it. But it's a stupid rule, because the whole concept of this thing was don't purposely drive your weight into the person. When you're coming through at 100 miles an hour that these players come through, and it's a clean wrap and a clean takedown to the ground with some kind of a concerted effort to roll off the person once they hit the ground, then it's not you're putting your whole body weight against them. The Barr move, he clearly picked him up and literally laid on top of him to purposely drive his body weight through Aaron Rodgers' collarbone into his other one to break the collarbone. It was intentional. He didn't have to do that. He already had him on the scamper. Could have just pushed him. The hit Clay Matthews had this week is textbook football. Textbook football. Wrapped him up, got that helmet in where they needed to, put him on the ground. I've seen that sack 1,000 times over my years of watching the sport. And to get flagged for that, I mean, I can't believe McCarthy didn't get thrown out of the game. In fact, I think McCarthy should have done enough to get himself thrown out of the game, because it probably would have been a spark the team needed to get back in this thing.
Oh, yeah, because even in the sports bar where I was watching the game, the crowd erupted watching McCarthy just about blow a head gasket, chasing that ref down the sidelines. That ref is going backwards at a very high rate of speed.
Yeah, I mean, McCarthy's a good-sized guy. I mean,
Yeah,
he was moving fast. He was moving fast.
And he was red.
I was waiting for that headset just come off and just chuck it at the guy's face or something.
It was just insane. And if it weren't for all those other football players on the field, the refs would have seen the really bad sack of Aaron Rodgers shoving his face into the ground that should have been a penalty.
Where there were two Washington guys laying on top of him, but
too many other players in the way. What you going to do?
there was also the one where they actually took Aaron Rodgers and I believe they twisted him from the left side to the right side, almost like a rip and twist motion before they threw him to the ground, which is also technically illegal from what I understand.
I don't know how Aaron Rodgers is still able to play and be upright, because what he's been through already this season is enough to kill off most of us.
Well, I think the words that he uses as the best word to describe it is adrenaline. He had adrenaline to basically tell the ref to basically bleep off.
And then after the game, go home and have a scotch, apparently.
Apparently.
Now,
but yeah, I don't know what to do about this. The rule is dumb. The rule has so many, what was it? The yellow highlighted words were like unintentionally or unnecessarily. He's like, well, the NFL operations tweeted out and said this because he put all of his weight on him. And then I think you had the comment, Wayne, that said, yeah, but you forgot about the unnecessarily part.
Yeah, they're like picking, it's like people that take verses from the Bible out of context or only have the first third of the verse instead of the rest that actually explains it. And so they're picking and choosing what they want to implement. And until they can come to some sort of consistency with this rule, if it's going to stick around as is, we should at least get instant replay involved so the correct call can be made. Even though it's going to slow down the game even more, I'd prefer that we get the right call somehow.
Well, and more importantly, the rule, as I went in and dug through, as I usually do this time when we're all complaining about pass interference and whatnot, which, yeah, 2 of the 3 that were called were definitely pass interference. The third one, the guy wasn't even anywhere near him, but apparently 14 guys were in the way, so that's why they got the call wrong. Anyways, on the Clay Matthews play, specifically, the rule. This is the rule. The rule states that if you have any doubt whatsoever if roughing the passer happened, then just call roughing the passer. So it's not tie goes to the runner. It's literally tie goes to the offense. It's stupid. It is just dumb. D-U-M-B, dumb.
Yeah. So it's just another thing the Packers have to battle through, at least till they can figure this thing out.
But that's not even the worst of it. The worst of it, Wayne, the worst of it was sure-handed Randall Cobb literally looking like he couldn't catch a fly.
And he accepts responsibility for
or
his
a cab
or
any of those things.
That was just not Randall's day. That was not what we expect from Randall Cobb, especially after some of the great plays he's already made this year. I don't think he had the flu. He would have mentioned it if he did. I don't know.
You mentioned it for him, so.
It's my duty as co-host of this podcast.
It's
going around. I've been sick for 5 days. I'm finally feeling better.
And on top of that, Rodgers didn't look like he was throwing the ball in the right place either. There were a number of plays that were like thrown behind Devontae, and Devontae was trying to make a catch or something happened out of it. So it looks like Devontae dropped it, but really those passes were behind when you look at the coach's cam on the game pass. Yeah,
it was everything. I mean, several players and the refs and the weather, and it just wasn't our day.
Do you remember when I told you all back in the preseason that our run defense was going to be the bane of my existence this year? And that we should put Clay Matthews in the middle? Remember when I talked about this?
That does ring a bell.
Yeah. So Mike Pettin had going for him a trio of quality defensive linemen in Wilkerson, Daniels, and Kenny Clark, who formed the core of a strong run defense the Packers will need over the long haul of this season. When Pettin needed to stop the run, he could put all 3 on the field and have a pretty good chance of getting that done. But guess what? Wilkerson is now gone. Tramon Williams said those guys were playing well, playing the run well. The next guy has to step up. It's really as simple as that. Really, Tremont? Really? I didn't realize giving up over 100 yards on the ground and 2 touchdowns counted as playing the run well. Like, really? Let's be clear. 19 carries, 120 yards, 2 tutties for a 6.3 yards per carry average. That is not playing the run well, sir. Not at all.
I don't even know if he was at the same game that we saw on TV. It's that tilted stadium.
That's what Zimmer keeps asking. Like, did you see the game? Did you see the game?
Yes, we saw the game. And now, just like the last 3 or 4 years in a row, the injuries are piling up. Wilkerson out for the season? That hurts.
Yep.
That hurts.
Yep. And then Nick Perry injured again. Nothing, no big surprise there. Brian Balaga injured again. No big surprise there. Kevin King injured again. No big surprise there. So I mean, it just keeps going and going and going and going and going. And you know, is it week 9 yet? Kumaro could come back.
I can't wait for Kumaro to come back. That's going to be a bright spot. I mean, even Devon House could possibly be out the rest of the season with his shoulder issue he's having.
Oh, come on. Really?
Yeah, it's just not going well at all. But according to Rob Demoski of ESPN, the Packers are signing quarterback Bashad Breeland tomorrow.
Oh, well, that'll be something.
There you go. That's something. I mean, and then
I don't know how losing a defensive lineman equates to a cornerback, but sure.
Going to rotate. And then you look at the Bills injury report, and it's just got 3 guys on it.
Right. Yeah. LaShawn McCoy still questionable with the ribs. And then you got Corey Carter and Shaq Lawson out for the season. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. The big thing is we have to beat the Bills because last week was a fluke. And we have to beat the Lions because if we can't beat the Lions, we are screwed on this season already.
Well, the Patriots couldn't beat the Lions.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The Lions are starting to look good. The first 100-yard rusher since 2003. I believe I told all of you to keep calm and carry on. Did I not? I not?
RELAX.
Do you know that Clay Matthews is the first guy to get 3 roughing the passer penalties in the first 3 weeks of the season since 2001?
Oh my gosh.
Does that tell you that the rule's broken? Just saying.
Yeah. And we all know quite clearly the one that he did in week 2, or was it week 1? I'd lose track.
Week one was a foul. Week 2 was garbage because there is nothing in that rule. Absolutely zero in that rule that says grabbing the leg and pulling upward is a foul. Nothing in there says that. So we should have won the Minnesota game. Garbage. Hot, smelly, stinky, skunk-dragged garbage.
Wow, that's a visual picture, but I know you know that from experience, so.
I actually have the picture, too, and I'll put it in the blog post if you want to see it.
Oh, awesome. Can't wait. Oh, my goodness. After the Packers hopefully beat the Bills Sunday morning, don't forget that all day Sunday is International Podcast Day, Troy. And the Podcast Awards ceremony is going to be happening Sunday night at 7 p.m. Central. Just go to podcastawards.com for the details and see if Troy walks away with a bunch of hardware and see if the Packers Fan Podcast wins one for both of us.
That's right. Packers Podcast nominated. Remake This Movie Right nominated, which you're also a part of.
CC.
My TV podcast, The Blacklist Exposed. My other TV podcast, Beyond Westworld. Superfan Aaron has his podcast, The Hollywood Outsider. So technically Aaron, Superfan, Packer fan Aaron, at our $1 Curly Lambeau level, he's actually competing against himself 3 times in the same category. That's ridiculous.
That's called hedging your bets right there.
So if we don't win something, then we know that it was about as robbed as the refs were.
So, yeah, we don't know how the refs are doing in this one. It's very tight-lipped. Well, let's get on with it because it is time to hear your listener feedback. Thank you, G-Force. Your feedback is amazing yet again. So much to talk about. Thanks for calling 920-3PACK-GO or sending in feedback by going to PackersFanPodcast.com/feedback or even the Facebook group. Let's fire it off and see what's happening in Arizona.
Hey, this is Nathan calling in from Arizona. Hi, Wayne and Troy. I hope you're doing well, and thanks for letting me call in. Well, to start my thoughts on the game, I would say are confused. I thought we were playing the Redskins this week, but when I turned on the game, I guess I found out I was incorrect. Didn't realize we had to play the refs two weeks in a row. No, I'm kidding, but it feels that way to us, you know. I feel bad for Clay Matthews, who should be having 2 game balls 2 weeks in a row, and instead gets 2 flags. Not really sure, you know, how they want him to tackle somebody, but I feel bad for him. That said, we definitely had some drop passes there in that game that we should have had. Aaron was off a little, receivers were off a little. We didn't set up a run game too well. Didn't really get the play action set up, and we need to do that. So, you know, it's not just on that play, but I believe that play greatly changed the outcome of the game, you know, greatly changed the outcome of that game. I think it was a very clean sack and the best that Clay's made in a couple of years, but instead he gets flagged for it. I don't like the call. That's just me. My thoughts for beating the Bills, pretty simple. Let the Bills beat the Bills and use the element of surprise. Bills right now are super hyped up. Let them over pursue, let them go for deep balls, break up those passes early, pick up their momentum, block it, and by doing that we'll build some in our own favor. And I say use the element of surprise by acting like we're going to play Aaron, and then game day start Kaiser instead, or maybe pull Aaron out after the opening drive and put in Kaiser, you know, so they won't be prepared for it. And I think if we do that, we can get up by halfway through the fourth, end up winning it by 10. Should Aaron set out this week? I'd normally say no because he's paid to play rather. But in this case, yeah, I think so. This is what we got Kaiser for. I wanted to draft Kaiser for this reason. We traded for Kaiser for this reason. I say play Kaiser this week, or put in Tim Boyle if Kaiser can't do it. And if all else fails, put in Aaron. Let Aaron be Aaron. As far as to the Packers trade, I don't think trade yet. Give Aaron Jones another shot. But if the running game doesn't develop this week, if Aaron can't get it done, Aaron Jones, that is, can't get it done, I say maybe we need to trade for a running back at that point. But those are my thoughts. Thanks again for letting me call in. Let's beat the Bills, and as always, go Pack, go.
Go Pack, go indeed, Nathan. Thanks so much for checking in. And let me be clear, Aaron Jones gets it done. Aaron Jones doesn't get the ball. That's the problem. If Aaron Jones got the ball, we would have a 100-yard rusher. Now, if you look at the entire rushing complement for the entire Packers offense, we actually rushed in total for the team over 100 yards. So the running game is there. We just need to commit to it and stick with it. And we need to set some stuff up, because if we can get the running game going where they're actually afraid of the run, they'll stack the box, which will then, of course, leave some passing lanes open. And I don't understand why we haven't gone back to the hurry-up offense that we did against the Bears. If it works so well to score that many points in such a short period of time, why the heck aren't we coming out of the game in the hurry-up? Why aren't we coming out of the second half in the hurry-up? We need to do a lot better job game planning these games and taking advantage of the situation and making sure that everybody knows that our offense is the number one offense for a reason. Joe Philbin's back. We went 15-1. We scored a crap ton of points that year. There is no reason why we can't do that with the talent we have in place today, except for the fact that the right side of the line is now demolished. But hopefully Brian Balaga will be back.
Come on, Brian. Come on, Brian. Be back. And Nathan, great points there. And I agree. The Packers seem to give up too quickly with the run game as well as the fast-paced offense. We just need to stick with it. It looks, at least on TV, and when you were there in person last week, that it would work. And I totally agree, Nathan. Some of those sacks Clay has made look like the best sacks he's made in years. They are so fun to watch, and I don't think he hurt any quarterbacks in the process. What do you think, Troy, about the element of surprise against the Bills?
Well, look, Aaron said it best himself in his press conference. If he can play, he plays. It's literally Aaron's decision. It's not the team's decision or the doctor's decision. If Aaron says he can play and Doc says medically he's fine, then Aaron plays. There's no reason to bring in Kaiser. There's no reason to bring in Tim Boyle. I know everybody loves him, but at this point in time, an 80% Aaron Rodgers is still better than pretty much the entire league. So I would take an 80% Aaron Rodgers with some more timed passing, quicker execution, and just establish a run so we can establish a play action. Because if you establish a play action, Geronimo's open, man. We could be bombing that crap all day long.
Hey, Wayne, Troy, Art from Texas. Well, I think what contributed to the loss was the drop passes. I don't know what was going on, but also we missed Kevin King, of course. And I was wondering, guys, what's y'all's opinion on why we've been having slow starts? Against the Bears and against the Redskins. Not so much against the Vikings, but I don't know. I don't know why they've been kind of sluggish the first couple of quarters. But hopefully we'll bounce back against Buffalo. It's going to be another tough one, but hopefully we'll have success. All righty. Green and gold till I'm dead and cold. Thanks, guys. Bye.
You're welcome, and thank you, Art. And yes, dropped passes, so frustrating when the rest of the team is having so much trouble, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, those drop passes by Cobb, especially in the first half, those ones were just drive killers. And when you have that drive killer, you just get frustrated trying to make something work, because then when the defense is giving up the big plays, again, did Dom Capers come to Washington? I'm just curious, because the big plays they were giving up at Washington were just god awful. Like, what happened to our defense all of a sudden? And I think you said it the best. I mean, it's really just a matter of figuring out how to start fast, and we haven't been able to do that. And I think partly that's preseason again. The ones not all practicing together, getting timing down. Aaron not practicing all week, getting timing down with his receivers for the last couple of weeks because of the knee injury. I think that's really where it all comes down to. And if we can't figure that out, even with no practice, then we start to look at coaching. And I know people are already like, fire McCarthy already at the start of the season. I'm not going to go there, but if we miss the playoffs this year, I think McCarthy's done.
And you mentioned our buddy Dom. I saw thousands of people on Twitter, just all sorts of people using the hashtag #FireCapers. It's like
classic.
Very clever, but he's gone. But apparently his legacy lives on.
So they just wanted to bring the memes out one more time.
Hey, you got the meme. It's standing by. Throw it out there one last time.
Hey, it's Andre in LA. As always, go Pack Go. That was a pretty rough performance to watch. Pretty much in every aspect of the game. The defense, it had a few good flashes, but mostly bad. It seemed like we couldn't stop the run. The passing was just carving us up. The offense, I'm not really sure why we don't stick with the run more. And I understand we went down early, but it seems that we were having a lot of success, and I think we should stick with the run a little bit more consistently. We looked bad yesterday. I don't know what the problem is. I like what I see. I like what I'm seeing from Geronimo Allison. And I feel sorry for Clay Matthews. It feels like he can't catch a break. I don't know why every week he seems to be getting these questionable flags against him. I don't know how you tackle a quarterback anymore. I just love listening to the podcast. Green and gold till I'm dead and gold. Love to hear what your thoughts. Go Pack Go.
Andre, first of all, we didn't look bad. We're bad. We're bad. Really, really bad this week. If I didn't get the joke in the first time.
Wow.
And it's not like we were just out there just for the fun of it. I mean, this was just a pathetic performance all around. I mean, the number of times we were down there in the red zone able to score and not coming away with a touchdown, or in the red zone and dropping a pass, or in the red zone and getting stupid penalties. I mean, this was a pathetic peewee version of a football team this week. It was depressing to watch, and I have to watch it a second time. So imagine how I felt after the second time watching this game. It's just, there's no good that came out of this except for a miracle play to Geronimo Allison and some glimpses of a running game that I think that if they don't capitalize on those two things, run game, set up the play action, throw to Geronimo. Run game, set up the play action, throw to Geronimo. And because everybody said that you have to hear things 3 times before it sticks in your head, run game, set up the pass and the play action, throw to Geronimo. That is what we should be doing. And if we can't find Geronimo, I guarantee you Jimmy Graham is open. As far as I know, he's still on the field. I saw number 80 running around out there this week.
I definitely saw a jersey with an 80 on it out there on the field. Well, that was good stuff. Now, let's open up that can of worms, otherwise known as this week's Monday poll on Twitter and in our Packers Fan Podcast community Facebook group. Do you think the Packers should rest Aaron Rodgers and his knee for the Bills game and play DeShone Kizer instead?
For the record, this is Wayne's question. Wayne said, here's a can. I'm going to open it up as wide as I can.
Well, I know everybody was probably expecting just some question about the Clay Matthews penalty, yada, yada, yada. No, let's go different. Believe it or not, 41% of the voters said yes.
That's pretty high.
And there were well over 100 votes.
Wow.
59% said no. Now, we got some good comments, so let's dig right in. On Twitter, Cree says, AR-12 needs time to get that knee where it needs to be, or the worst case is he's out for the season. And on the other side of things, Tom said, our Packers are an average team if Rodgers is playing. They are awful without him. If people think the Bills game is an automatic win, then they haven't been paying attention to that organization. And no, I'm definitely, when posing this question, I'm definitely not saying it because the Bills were awful and now have mysteriously beat the Vikings.
More importantly, I want to know if Tom plagiarized that comment from the Facebook community group, because that sounds like something exactly I said replying to Stephen.
Well, the point needs to be shared. Obviously, the Bills are capable of showing up and doing wild things and winning games. My thought behind it was Rodgers did not look good. I mean, I think somebody said, the one leg has a bad knee. The other leg might have a pulled hamstring. I think he's on the verge of falling apart. And the Bills are not only not in our division, they're not even an NFC team. So at the risk of blowing up, my dreams of an undefeated season are gone already. At the risk of losing another game, I think this would be a game that we could risk losing, heaven forbid.
So you're saying put Kizer in and take the loss.
Put Kizer in and watch magic happen, and we beat them with Kizer maybe.
Then you get the quarterback controversy, blah, blah, blah.
I don't think there would be a quarterback controversy. So that was just my thought. Also on Twitter, Weiner Troll said they should have sat him this weekend from that rotten field in D.C.
Yeah, it was pretty sloppy out there. Pretty sloppy.
And yet in Tampa last night, they got a lot of rain and their field was just fine. A little slippery in spots, but not too bad.
Ball wasn't as slippery either down there, apparently.
Coincidence?
Fitz magic. On Facebook, in the community, over at PackersCommunity.com, Peter said, can't rest Rodgers. He has still done better than most of the league on one leg, and if it wasn't for all the dang drops, we'd probably be going mental about how he won again on one leg.
True.
True statement.
True.
Jackson said the Bills quarterback is insane. They got a contender now. It's one game. Let's just hold off there.
Well.
And remember, it was against Minnesota, so that doesn't say much. Oh, snap.
Oh, no, he didn't. It was great to see the Vikings get pulled back down. Brett commented in the Facebook group about the poll. No, you could see from some of the plays that timings were off, even with Cobb. The more game time together as a unit, the better. We need to get back to winning ways before the bye week, especially looking at the schedule after coming back.
Oof, that's the game we're going to.
That's true.
First game after the bye week, Rams, Packers.
Thank goodness it's after the bye week.
Yes, get some rest. Christopher said no, but it may be a consideration if we get up by several scores and the defense is doing their job.
Oh, I like the sound of that. Positive attitude, Christopher.
Yeah.
Let's
get up by 3 scores and then set them.
Yeah, 5 scores, Troy. Get up by 5 scores. And I'm not talking
sorry,
field goals.
I forgot about that awesome block punt that we converted into touchdowns.
There you go. Janelle, I really want to say yes, but it's obvious that physically and mentally Rodgers is a very important part of our team. I think him sitting out hurts us in more ways than one.
It sure does. It sure does. And Steven said, the worst thing to do is to rush back a player or play him while he is injured. That's a risk, as he could hurt it even more, or he could be out for even the rest of the season. And you know what? That's what we all thought on that fateful Sunday night. And he still came out of that tunnel after halftime. So if he can play, you play him.
And like you said, Aaron has a lot of say as to whether he gets to play. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Hoping for the best, that's for sure. I mean, I would like to see Aaron Rodgers come out 100%, throw 9 or 10 touchdowns, and all is well. Now, Steven. Speaking of Steven V checking in from Powell's Park, Illinois by email. What's going on with our Packers? Are the refs trying to cheat them?
Yes.
Yeah, I really think there's some
sorry, that was a rhetorical question. My bad. Sorry. I've had this fit where I just respond to things.
We appreciate your openness. Now that the Packers aren't going to be undefeated, are you guys going to sing a duet? Maybe no. Elvis Presley's If I Can Dream?
That could be possible.
Who's going to sing the harmony part? Heard at the end of the third quarter, the TV announcer said that Clay Matthews needs to take a chill pill.
I got something news for you, Mr. TV announcer. You take a chill pill.
Yeah, that's insane. I guess on the plus side, the sound was not tuned to the Packers-Redskins game where I was watching the game. I think they had the Saints game going, so I didn't have to hear that. That would have given me a headache right off the bat. So Steven continues, so come on, Packers. You need to play better than you have for these first 3 games of the season. Dom Capers was fired as our defensive coordinator, but it doesn't seem like it. It seems like he still has the job. That's not a good sign. And
that's hysterical.
It seems to be the thing. I mean, Pettin needs to really put his stamp on this defense. We're waiting. Steven says, hearing Wayne and Troy on the Packers Fan Podcast is like hanging out with 2 tipsy uncles. That's us, Troy. That's us. As always, can't wait to hear what you 2 have to say about the game, along with the rest of the listeners that will share their feedback. And that's Stephen V. Thank you very much for your email, Stephen.
That's only because we record this at 11 o'clock Central PM.
Yeah, it is pretty late.
That's pretty late. Caleb's checking in, though, and Lorna LaPointe, and Mary Herkman's up there in northern Wisconsin. Hey, what's going on with the Packers? Over 150 yards and penalties? What the Sam hell? I added that.
Thanks, Troy.
Another thing that ticked us off was the roughing the passer call. What are we supposed to do? Just let the quarterback throw the ball without a defense? It seems that we need to call the commissioner about this rule. This is getting out of hand. I mean, we are owners, aren't we? Don't we have a say in this?
Good point.
I added that part too. We need to step up our game. One thing I did love seeing were some of the running plays that we had, as well as Aaron Rodgers running the ball, even though it came back. Until next week, gentlemen, this is Caleb Fisher and Lorna LaPointe and Mary Herkmans up there saying, go Pack, go, green, bleeding gold till we're dead and cold.
Quite a visual. Quite a visual.
Especially up there, because it is cold.
Yes, it is. It's all of a sudden turning into fall up there.
Oh my gosh, yes it is.
I love it. I'm jealous. Very jealous here in SoCal. We got a heat wave coming. I think probably around Friday we're going to hit 94.
Whatever. Zip it. Shh. Jackson in the Facebook community group said.
Yes, he did.
See how I just diverted attention there? In the Packers Fan Podcast community group, again, packerscommunity.com, Jackson said, I say this is targeting the Packers, and our coach and GM need to call the commissioner and tell him we will boycott playing until you put a training video on what a legal hit on the quarterback is. And make sure that video does not come from NFL operations.
Oh my goodness. I don't know who's running that. It's got to be a fake account.
Did you see, go look at NFL operations tweets. Go look at the NFL.com's tweets and look at how many comments on average those tweets get. It's somewhere around, maybe 30 to 60 in that range. 9,000 comments on them saying that what Clay Matthews did was wrong. 9,000 comments.
I know, it's just a shill account that's trying to uphold what corporate's saying. It's like, really, come on. The rest of the world realizes this is wrong. Very, very wrong.
This is the first time you can say the words, everybody knows that play was wrong. And we mean everybody.
Yes.
It actually works.
100%. Brett Connor posted in the Facebook community group, and breathe, people. RELAX. How can it be this stressful watching the Packers on week 3 against the Redskins? And this just in from Brett. New 2019 season rules. All quarterbacks must wear a red jersey when on the field.
That's good too. Not as good as the baby meme that was going around. Did you see the baby meme?
Oh, absolutely. A few people tagged me in it and put it on my Facebook page.
Just so you guys know, Article 2, Rule number 9, blah, blah, blah. Patting the stomach is also a foul.
Can't win for losing. Jeez Louise.
Peter Allison said, help me understand. We do seem to come out every game with no clue what to do on offense. It just makes no sense that we seem to be so pathetic every week on offense with the greatest QB, even if he is on one leg. So Rodgers maybe missed a couple, but we can forgive him when he is still running for first downs and putting everything into it that he's got. He's only human and makes mistakes. What I can't forgive is how we seem to come out every game with no idea. We have a fierce trio of backs in Jones, Monty, and Williams that we do very little with. I don't remember many two-back sets running with a blocker, but allowing Rodgers the chance to take the quick dart when the D moves up to commit to the run. Could even throw one of the backs out for a stretch run. Just anything but the same garbage we see so very often. The second half was night and day, and that just makes me think more and more that the first half is Mike and the second half is Rodgers. And what is with the defense? Not been able to play 2 good halves of football. They play lights out and useless in what seems an equal measure. We had every single chance to win that game, and we seemed to do everything we could to throw it away. Literally. Because we don't run the ball. I added that part. Some really bad calls, but the majority of the flags were well justified, and that ticks me off more than anything. We have all the tools here to beat every single dang team we play. We just don't know what consistency is and haven't for a long time. Cobb was largely to blame for today, but the whole team left a lot to be worked on. If history has shown us anything, then we can just expect more of the same. More wasted years with the greatest quarterback ever to grace the field and be paid. Go Pack Go seems like our only positive is the punter, who has been spot on thus far.
It's like we're in a bizarro world, because when was the last time we said that about punting? Never. Peter, great comments. And yeah, it just boggles the mind. Just don't know. And Bill Steffen on the Packers Fan Podcast Facebook page posted, I'll preface my comment by saying that I have always liked Mike McCarthy until Sunday. He made 2 questionable decisions that really stand out to me. Why, after letting time tick down in the first half, would he try a fake 61-yard field goal in the middle of a downpour? Also, considering the weather conditions, why wasn't Aaron Jones used more? He averaged 7 yards per carry. You've got a hobbled quarterback, and the best running back gets 6 carries? Dumb. Lance Kendricks needs to be released immediately. Send a message to Randall Cobb that he could be next if he doesn't shape up. Oh, my. Also, Devon House, Tramon Williams, and Kentrell Bryce need to be cut. They all looked horrible. Let the rookies take their lumps. What do you think, Troy?
Agree on all accounts. Maybe not cut Devon House, Tramon Williams, and Kentrell Bryce because we kind of need them because Devon House is now out and Tramon Williams is still a pretty good player. He just needs to remember to turn around and look at the ball. That's all.
That would be helpful. But you made a great point about I totally forgot about the fake field goal attempt in the downpour. That was not the best executed fake field goal attempt ever.
I totally forgot about it. Literally, just forgot about it.
Yeah, because there was so much else to think about. And Carmine posted, Coach McCarthy should have gotten himself thrown out of that game to fire up the team. sort of the way a baseball manager does.
Yeah, and Lafia said the GM needs to shop for more defensive players, especially help in the secondary. I think we need to shore up the run game first, but that's just me.
Can we maybe do all of that?
Go Pack Go.
Go Pack Go indeed, Troy.
Well, check out more great conversations happening in our Facebook group. PackersCommunity.com is the web address. You're going to hear more great discussions about what went wrong and the ideas of how to fix it. As always, unfortunately, lots of talk about the roughing the passer penalties, details on how you can help the Packers pick the ultimate best moment in all of Green Bay Packers history, plus more green and gold goodness all over at PackersCommunity.com. Well, it's time to thank all those people that make the Packers Fan Podcast possible with our value for value model over at PackersFanPodcast.com support. That's PackersFanPodcast.com/support over on Patreon. That's right. Willie Wood, number 24, still holds a record for most consecutive starts by a safety in NFL history. And Brian is still consistently supporting us at the $24 a month level. Your support is the best type a team defense needs, Brian. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
And rain or shine, AR12 is continuing to battle for the green and gold, as do the Texas-only Green Bay Packers Fanatics Facebook group with their monthly $12 a month Aaron Rodgers support level. Hopefully you'll hear their Go Pack Go in an upcoming episode if we can get the logistics worked out. We're working on it. We promise we're working on it with Granny Cheese herself.
And supporting us at the Brett Favre $4 a month level, just want to say thank you once again to Jess Summerfield. And, of course, the $4 pledge dedicated to lifelong Packer backer Randy Westgame of Wausau.
And coming in with the Curly Lambeau $1 a month. Monthly supporters Velvet Eau Claire, Hank Davis from the TPE network of podcasts, and Aaron Peterson, superfan Aaron from the Hollywood Outsider.
Yes, you too can help make the Packers Fan Podcast even better by becoming a Packers Fan Podcast MVP Patreon supporter. Go to PackersFanPodcast.com/support. Check out all the different levels and help us get to that goal of $500 a month so we can do live post-game shows.
Thanks again, Aaron, Hank, the Texas-only Green Bay Packers Fanatics, Bryant, Randy, Jeff, and Velvet for your awesome support of your Packers Fan Podcast.
All right, let's go around the NFC North real quick. The Lions, they may not attack, but they will protect their own, and protect they did for the second week, making the opposing quarterback's life a living hell for most of the game. Also, remember when I said in the preseason and earlier this episode to keep calm and carry on? Mm-hmm. Yes, first 100-yard rusher since Reggie Bush. That's right, Reggie Bush in 2003. With the Lions on the schedule soon, this is a win we must have, or the Lions may just be starting to wake up from their long sleep in the jungle.
And even though the Lions are in the NFC North, is it bad that I was kind of happy they beat the evil Patriots?
I love that they beat the Patriots.
Okay, good. We're on the same page. Woo!
That was also another song joke. 3 in one episode.
Ding ding.
Get it? Sleep in the jungle, Lions wake up.
Kumbaya.
Owima Wepa.
Owima Wepa. Oh, yeah.
Over in the Bears country, Trubisky is an up-and-down quarterback, and as such, the Bears will have an up-and-down season. They may break 500 just because the defense will keep them in games, but they almost lost to a winless Cardinals team, save for a game-defining interception. The Bears' front seven is a wall against the run, but when we rush 6 or more against Mitch, the guy is lost. Like looking through a bamboo forest. The Vikings said whatever was blocking the Bills clearly passed because, holy cow, the Bills beat the Vikings with just 4 guys. Yes, that's right, the front 4 defensive linemen. They shut Cousins down all day long. To say the O-line is a weakness in Minnesota is stating the obvious, but hey, look on the bright side. At least they didn't miss any kicks this week.
Did you see the game? Wow. Good stuff. Do you have any ideas on how we can beat the Buffalo Bills and not let that happen to us this week?
I got 3 words for you, Wayne. 3 words.
Ready.
I bet you can guess what they are.
If it involves a hit song from the mid-'80s, I'm not sure.
If Run the Football was a song, then yes, you would be correct.
Please run the football.
Please run the football. Team put up 100 yards on just 17 carries, which is 5.9 yards per carry for the team. Run the football. Extra protection on the right-hand side will also need, as we have got to figure out what's going on with Balaga and all of that. So I would definitely plan on these two back sets to get extra protection on the right-hand side. So that way Aaron has time to throw the ball down the field. Plus it'll peel off a receiver as well to cover up that person.
Win-win.
I think the other big thing for this week is no flags. American, Canadian, Mexican, no flags at all. Just no flags, period. And of course, one special team or defensive big play is going to be the turning of the tide in this particular game contest.
Yeah, there's one flag I wouldn't mind seeing. Maybe early in the third quarter, the Buffalo Bills waving the white flag of surrender.
Yes. Love it. And this game is at home, so at least we'll have the home crowd back on our side.
Thank goodness. Let's dig into the official Packers dope sheet for week 3. Packers at Bills. PackersFanPodcast.com/162 will have the full dope sheet there. But basically, the highlights are that the 1-1-1. Oh my gosh, it hurts to say that. The 1-1-1 Green Bay Packers are back home and in their throwback jerseys to host the 1-2 Buffalo Bills. Green Bay is 4-2 all time against Buffalo, including wins in each of the last 3 contests. RELAX, because all 6 games between the two clubs in Wisconsin have been decided by 10 or more points. Can I get a Go Pack Go?
Or more. Go Pack Go.
Ooh, yeah. And it's interesting to note that the Bills' last trip to Lambeau Field came way back in 2010, which was a 34-7 win by the Packers. And since 2006, the Packers are 6-6 against AFC East teams, but have won 3 of the last 4 contests and are 5-3 in the last 8 games. So things are looking good if history comes back. And this game will be broadcast on CBS, at least here in the States. And some notable connections. Packers defensive coordinator, not Dom Capers, Mike Pettin. He spent 1 season back in 2013 as the Bills defensive coordinator, and that year helped the defense register a team record 57 sacks, and probably not very many with penalties. And Bills safety Micah Hyde was originally selected by the Green Bay Packers in the 5th round of the 2013 draft and played 4 seasons for Green Bay, appearing in 63 games with 33 starts. Lots of good stuff to look for in this game. Read the official Packers dope sheet. The full thing will be linked at PackersFanPodcast.com/162.
Ooh, score picking time.
Oh, yeah, this is getting good.
Man, we were so off last week. But not really. It was just reversed. I had Packers 28, Redskins 17, and the Packers scored 17. So there you go.
Go for it, Troy. Go for it. How are things going to pan out at Lambeau this week?
Packers 24, Bills 13.
24-13. Okay, so keeping the tradition of winning by 10 or more points. I'm also going that way. A little bit higher. Packers will win, 31-21. And I'll be very happy.
And that's still 10 or more points.
Exactly. Now, the weather does look a little iffy depending on if the patterns change. Game time weather at Lambeau Field right now is looking mostly sunny at kickoff, around 60 degrees, which sounds fantastic, and hopefully beating out the chance of rain that's supposed to be coming in later in the afternoon in Green Bay. So hopefully it doesn't change and we can play a dry game. That'd be nice.
That would be nice. Doubt it, though, but it would be nice.
Oh, okay. Hey, if nothing else, you taught us how to stop by Walmart on the way to Lambeau Field, buy some cheap $4.88 ponchos that will save your day.
I was just checking to see if the Packers game was going to be on here in the Chicagoland area, and sadly, it is not. Instead, you can watch Men's Health, All Natural Supplements, AAA Benefit and Savings, Dermaflash, and some paid programming, followed by Entertainment Tonight.
Oh, they're killing us. I mean, I know there's all sorts of regulations as to how many games and what games, but come on, we are the Packers. We are America's team. We have the most fans. Play our games.
Well, this one I can understand why it's not being shown, because the Bears play at the same time. Whenever the Bears play at home, then the other game does not get to be shown.
Well, okay.
The good thing is, though, Fitzmagic is playing the Bears, so the Bears should get another loss. That'd be great.
That would be nice, because mathematically they're technically in first place in our division, but not for long, Chicago.
Oh, see, and that works out well for me, because Aaron Rodgers versus the Bills or Fitzmagic versus the Bears, I would have to take Aaron Rodgers in that matchup for fantasy football.
There you go. Some bonus advice from Sir Troy.
There you go. We'll also have some bonus advice for you about the Packers Fan Podcast, because it is not the official podcast of the Green Bay Packers or affiliated with the NFL. But, man, we'd sure love for that to happen. So if you know somebody that can help us out, get us in touch with the media department. Just have them email us at media@PackersFanPodcast.com.
And even if we're not the official podcast, we may just win Best Sports Podcast in this Sunday night's Podcast Awards at podcastawards.com. Remember to follow us all season long on Twitter at PackersFanPod. Follow me on Twitter. What the heck? I'm at Wayne Henderson.
Follow me on Twitter, hey, what the heck, at Troy Heinritz, because we'll have some fun chatting about the game as it goes along. And be sure to join the great Packers Fan Podcast community at PackersCommunity.com so you can join on in the conversation. A lot of fun chatting over there during the game this past week.
Yeah, things are really firing up over there. Good and interesting conversations. And we want your voice to be part of next week's episode of the Packers Fan Podcast. Just remember PackersFanPodcast.com/feedback for all the details on getting your voice in so you can be heard. Keep those conversations going online. We'll be back next week with another fun episode of Packers Talk. But until then, I do want to thank you for listening to this week's episode of your Packers Fan Podcast.
That's right. Be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts so you don't miss an episode, on Spotify and Google Podcast as well. Now, cheer on the G-Force, because no one likes to pay bills. Yes, that's right. We are going to write checks we can cash this week as we all get behind Aaron Rodgers and the offense, as we all say together, go Pack, go!